Good morning from the second age of reason. We are here to kind of go over recent events that we're relating to September 11th, recently and of the year 2001, because I think it's all tied together. We've seen a number of protests and riots in the Middle East, in Egypt, in Libya, in Yemen, and even an ambassador has been killed because of it. Now, ambassadors and diplomats are there to interface one country to another. They're there to facilitate communication, facilitate treaties, facilitate maintaining peace, and bring goodwill. So there was apparently a rabble who thought it was in their duties to invade the embassy and kill the diplomats. Well, this kind of goes against the rule of law in international affairs. The idea of embassies and diplomats is part of the infrastructure of modern civilization. If you can't rely on that, you have to send it then into a world of just tribes and violence and everything, and that's not the kind of world I don't think we want to be in. They have been placing the blame for all this violence on a film that was made in America. Now, for one thing, nobody makes anybody watch a film if you don't want to. But yet, they watched it or took somebody else's word who's watched it for what this is. And then they've just used it as an excuse, and I think that's the case. They've used it as an excuse for violence, a very convenient one. Because this violence, I don't think, is entirely related to the film. The film helps them work up an emotional frenzy, but in the end the message is something else. The message is what we call blowback. So the American imperial control of these nations. If a leader of the nation cooperates, they get special deals. They get grants of weapons and money and things. If they do not cooperate, if they want to go it alone, if they go against the grain, they are then in grave danger, as we have seen in Egypt, as we have seen in Libya. However, if a country cooperates, you have a nation like Bahrain cooperates, and there's just been a great or even greater rebellion going on there. But America helps suppress it and helps keep everything quiet about that one and all the atrocities going on in Bahrain because they are cooperative. And so then you have to wonder, we just helped Libya get liberated from Gaddafi, who supposedly a terrible dictator. And why would they do such a violent act as kill a diplomat who had nothing to do with the making or distribution of that movie? Sometimes maybe the diplomat was helping Libya get back on its feet, be more independent again, and the empire doesn't want it that way. The empire wants dependent republics. The empire wants what they call proxies. Just like Australia, England, Canada, Sweden, they do the bidding of Washington. So, I just thought maybe the powers that be were unhappy with the way this ambassador was performing, and so they had this violent act fomented to clean house. So we have to wait and see what happens until later. Oh, my guess. My guess is that we haven't seen the end of this yet. My guess is that there are more things going to come out of this convenient movie as an excuse for riot things. Like I said, to clean house. So until we see how that pans out, it'll be very interesting. And the message I think the Mideast nations are giving with these riots, the message I think is, this is blowback, saying, Westerners, go home. Mind your own business. We want to take care of our own stuff. We don't need your nations here. We don't need your military here. We don't need your corporations here telling us how to manipulate our resources and our people for your profit. I think that's the message that they're giving in not so many terms. But it's only my opinion for what it's worth. And until later, we'll be seeing. This is a postscript to my Libya vlog, and I made that vlog like the day of that the ambassador was killed, and I did suspect it would spread to a lot of other nations. And it's not just that stupid movie that offended some people and that causes it. It was caused by several other things, and again I say it's probably what they call blowback, that you reap what you sow. And so America's been dabbling in a lot of things in the Mideast, and this stupid movie was a catalyst. It didn't seem to have anything related to whatever, but it was a good enough spark to start the blaze going. And they all seemed so surprised, and it was simply a terrible misjudgment that they thought that if we made them all democracies like America, they would start being nice like Americans and behaving like Americans. And the misjudgment they made is that America isn't necessarily a democracy. It's a republic that has some democratic features to it. And if we didn't do that cleanly and thoroughly in these countries, what happens is what always happens with democracies. They turn into mob rule, and you get a lot of messy stuff happening. And so that's just food for thought, to know that democracies in their pure form like that, they've gotten their freedom from their dictator. And now what happens? Well, somebody can catch the ear of the mob, and the mob then rules. And anyone who disagrees with the mob, well, too bad. The Republic, it's a little more stable. The problem with Republic is, as they have institutions and things happen in them, republics eventually turn into empires. And this has been very true of America. And lastly, the other form of government we have is monarchy, in which you have a family, so the genetics determines the ruling class. They seem to last a long time sometimes, and partly it's because the royalty owns a lot of the country, so they don't really want to trash the country that they own as their personal property, so they tend to take maybe better care of it. On the other hand, they can become crazy or troublesome or oppressive, and there's nothing in the system to replace them because it's by the family. So, and I suppose that dictators can go either way in there. So I just thought I'd leave that food for thought, that when you are trying to change a country, whether it's a republic or whatever, into a democracy, are you sure that's what you want? And what is the goal in Syria now? And what is the goal in Iran after that? If they are republics, and we put it in a democracy, we now have several good examples of what happens. So I think it's a time for some good, deep thought on the subject and what the goal should be. So, it's just my opinion for now. Please rate and comment below, and I'll be looking forward to seeing them. Until later, bye-bye.